Good evening and welcome to this edition of WJAY Nightly News. It is episode 3 for Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. Happy Patriot Day to all of you. And I am, of course, your host, Jason DeCanio, ready for another hour and a half of interesting topics and very critical information to share with you. As you know, today is September 11th, and it is the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. We are in the midst of remembering those who have fallen to the World Trade Center towers. We remember those who play a vital role as firefighters, emergency crew, police, anyone who was involved on or near the tower who risked their lives to try and go and save those who were most affected by the impacts. And of course, we are giving our sincere sympathies, of course, to the families who have to live day by day, not just on the anniversary of the date itself, but have to go through the daily things that all families have to deal with, not just the anniversary. So we pray for, of course, the families of those victims who have fallen to the World Trade Center. And of course, we give you our 100% um, respect because you deserve to have the good things. And if your loved ones were here doing it, you would be able to have peace of mind and closure. Some don't have closure, unfortunately, and still there's a lot of unanswered questions that are still being asked to this day. And speaking of which, our topics deal with 9/11 and the so the stuff that they really don't talk about. So the first topic of today, the first article is 12 questions people still have about 9/11. Yes, this happened over 23 years ago, and every year there are still questions not being asked, not being answered. Where is the accountability? Who's responsible for what? And the list goes on and on. So there's still like 12 questions lingering about over the course of this 23 years, and hopefully they get some closure before the 25th anniversary. And then we're going to look at 9/11 survivor stories, twists of fate that saved these people's lives. Yes, they'll be told by the people who actually experienced it, and they had probably a sit down with Reader's Digest before. And then this person was personally blamed for the terrorist attacks on 9/11, and here's what happened. Now, that's a shocker right there. How can one person be blamed for the events that took place the morning of 2001, September 11th? That's an interesting situation. We're going to really delve into that article later on in the program. Of course, today is Patriot Day, but there are other things going on September 11th that happened. We'll also have our motivation of the day, plus headlines, sports, and other important information. The Mets did win, securing another game on the Braves and our 7.5 back. They took 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays. Go Mets. And as far as the Jets, well, they lost on Monday Night Football. And the Bears actually won a game. And, of course, both the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs won their games respectively. All right, don't forget also, too, Versus again premieres every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. on StreamYard. We had our first show yesterday, which pitted Coke versus Pepsi. Tomorrow night on the program, you'll just have to watch episode 2 to find out what we're going to be talking about. So tune in, please. And in just about 2 hours from now, the return of season 2 of Wipe Those Tears. That's right. Myself and the Tear Masters will be there to pick up where we left off with episode number 30 of the NES games. Well, this will be the 26th episode of the NES games because it all went back to episode 4. But we've done a complete total of 29 episodes, and we have a special surprise for you tonight, which a lot of people are going to be like, what in the world and why, who, how, and where? Okay, tune in because I guarantee you I'm going to get a mouthful the next morning on this, but I don't care. It's not anyone's call to say who or what can be done on Wipe Those Tears. I have total ownership to it. It's my original idea. And if you want to challenge it, then come on Jay Nightly News and tell it why you think I shouldn't be doing anything different with who I have or what I do as far as tier masters or the show or the format. Okay, I'd love to hear from you because I'm blocked all comments and I will continue to block all comments until the trolls finally decide to go away forever and leave us the hell alone. Okay, so with that, that's why that happened. Okay, now we're going to go to the headlines, sports, and other important information. We'll start with the headlines, of course, for today, Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. Now, a lot of these articles, of course, are one-sided. Of course, NPR is, of course, a liberal website that only gives one side of the coin. They're very biased. So you have to kind of think that this is coming from their what they think happened at last night's debate. Well, during Tuesday's debate, Harris was in command. Trump was incoherent. Vice President Kamala Harris was dominant during Tuesday's presidential debate in Philadelphia. Former President Donald Trump struggled to stay on topic and at times sounded incoherent. With the race to the White House neck and neck, will this debate make a difference? I have my commentary at the end of this in just a minute. So bear with me. You'll get my response to all of this crap, okay? And it is crap. Wall Street investors think Trump lost the debate too. Shares in former President Trump's company plunged the day after his debate with Vice President Harris. Stocks are always going to take plunges, folks. Okay, those on Wall Street, I don't know what they eat for breakfast every day or what kind of coffee they drink while they're on the trading floor, but half the time they don't even know what the heck they're doing. I think it's all just a bunch of hogwash because Trump actually helped them out so much. So even if his stock fell a little bit, it's always going to make a comeback. At the debate, Harris made climate change a pocketbook issue. Vice President Harris said the economic costs of climate change are already clear, with homeowners facing skyrocketing insurance prices. The Central Park Five are exonerated. Trump doesn't seem to think so. Following the 1989 brutal assault of a New York jogger, the former president took out full-page ads calling for the return of the death penalty. He refuses to apologize to the now exonerated five. Why should he apologize, okay? It's happened over so many years ago, so many decades ago. It's such a past issue. Please, really. Inflation falls to its lowest level in more than 3 years. Here's what that means. Consumer prices in August were up 2.5% from a year ago, the smallest annual increase since February of 2021. Falling inflation clears the way for the Federal Reserve to start cutting interest rates next week, likely by a 0.25 percentage point, which makes absolutely no difference in anything. So even if they cut even 0.25% of it, you're still going to be paying high interest rates to this day. So really cutting it don't mean nothing. They might as well just not cut it all. If you want to trim it down, you trim it down 4 or 5 points more. You take it down 50 points. You take it down 60 points. You take it down 70 points, something to where the American people can afford something with the interest. But 0.25% or any of those small numbers, that ain't doing nothing. It's not even trimming the hair off of a dog's back. Taylor Swift has endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Will it matter? Swift wrote on Instagram, I need to be very transparent about my actual plans for this election as a voter. How much sway do stars really have when it comes to putting the next president in the White House? Boy, do I have a message for you, Mrs. Swift. You better listen carefully. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken reiterates support for Ukraine and Kiev visit. Blinken and British Foreign Secretary David Lammy met with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, who wants the White House to lift restrictions on long-range missiles and announces more aid. Francine makes landfall in Louisiana as a Category 2 hurricane. Hurricane Francine made landfall with winds near 100 miles per hour in the southern Louisiana parish of Terrebonne, about 30 miles southwest of Morgan City. We're praying for, of course, Jason Myers from the Discord community. He lives in New Orleans. You're in my prayers, buddy. I hope I get to see you next week and talk to you, and maybe you can share some of your experiences during what had happened these past few days. Can eating less beef and dairy help save the Colorado River? Nearly half of the water drawn from the Colorado River goes to feed for beef and dairy cows. Researchers say modest changes in American diets can help farmers use less water and help the climate. I'll tell you about climate change in just a minute. Flood sweeps away a hamlet in Vietnam as death toll after typhoon rises to 155. A flash flood swept away an entire hamlet in northern Vietnam, killing 30 people and leaving dozens missing as deaths from Typhoon Yagi and its aftermath climbed to 155. Mammograms will better explain what it means to have dense breasts. Well, nearly half of women over 40 have dense breasts, which raises their risk of breast cancer. Mammograms should now include an assessment of breast tissue density. Fact-checking the Trump-Harris debate and food delivery could help the environment. Maybe. We'll see. That was just a double article. The Bibi Files. Benjamin Netanyahu fails to block documentary from screening. An Israeli court this week rejected a request from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to block a documentary about his legal troubles from screening at a Canadian film festival. And is getting food delivered worse for the climate? Sometimes it's better. From meal kits to grocery service to restaurant delivery, we look at the carbon footprint of convenient food and the choices people can make to try to reduce it. Sometimes there are trade-offs. Russian publishers in exile release books the Kremlin would ban. In Vladimir Putin's Russia, writing about the war in Ukraine, the church, or LGBTQ plus life could land you in jail. That's right. Could land you in jail. As if it's already not happening already, as a few of our U.S. American reporters have gone over there and have been jailed twice and caught in a trade-off. So if you're on that side of the coin and you think it's bad over here, go over to the other countries and see if you get treated any differently. And if you don't, and you get jailed for being an LGBTQ plus, nobody's fault but your own, okay? And you should have thought about staying here. Maybe it will change your mind. So in Russia, they don't like the homosexual community. They despise you guys, and you think that we're so bad at the way we treat you here in the United States. They are even worse, okay? So go live there for a year, and you might be back in 6 months. I give you guys a year to go over there and see if it's any different or any better. I challenge you on that. See what you could do. Make a difference. Make a statement for a change. And then you might actually come back here and say, see, I told you. Told you so. And you might actually apologize, which very few of them actually do because they think they know everything. Later on. The debate between Harris and Trump wasn't close, and 4 other takeaways. Tuesday's debate between the current vice president and former president was a clear contrast from the June debate that forced President Biden from the race. And fearing the worst, schools deploy armed police to thwart gun violence. Armed officers on campus could speed police response to gun violence, but there is scant research to support this strategy, and studies about racial bias raise other concerns about police and schools. And 5 smart habits to keep you out of credit card debt. Well, stay on top of your monthly payments and avoid costly fees and interest charges with these smart credit card strategies. There's an 18-minute, 45-second commentary on that. So if you hit the listen button here, you'll be able to play it. Don't forget also to turn on your ad blocker too. That will help you. How Memphis became a battleground over Elon Musk's X AI supercomputer. A massive project headed by Elon Musk in Memphis, Tennessee to power AI has moved at breakneck speed. But it's stirring controversy around pollution emissions. The EPA says it's looking into it. Biden, Harris, Trump, and Vance attend September 11th memorial events. In a surprise joint appearance, President Biden and Vice President Harris joined former President Donald Trump and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance at Ground Zero for a September 11th memorial event. The stereotype of immigrants eating dogs and cats is storied and vitriolic as ever. Immigration was always going to be a part of Tuesday night's presidential debate. More surprising was that the conversation veered into bizarre falsehoods about migrants eating pet dogs and cats. And finally, NPR's fact-checked the Harris-Trump presidential debate. Here's what we found. From the economy to immigration abortion, NPR looks at what the candidates said and adds context. And there you have it, folks. The headlines for today, September 11th, 2024. Now, for the important information and my take on what we just experienced here on the program. First of all, folks, you could say whatever you want to say about who won the debate last night. You could say that Harris smoked Trump. You could say that Trump stuck it back to her. You could say anything in the book. It does not matter. Nothing in the polls even gives any slight advantage to Kamala Harris. Okay, understand this. She went into that debate. They gave her a free pass because, look, it's ABC News, all right? You want fair and balanced? Fox News should have been the ones to moderate that debate last night. But Kamala Harris and her puny little coward of a liberal party decides, nah, we're not going to go on Fox News. But you know what? You should go on Fox News there, Missy, because you know why? Because then maybe you could try to see if you're going to pull the wool over everybody's heads. And I'll tell you right now, the moderators at Fox News are not going to give you any passes. You're going to have to answer the hard questions, okay? What we saw in that debate, and I tell you, I didn't watch, but maybe a few 10 minutes of it, found out about it, the rest of it with sound bites and everything. And you know why I didn't watch it? Because I could not want to stand and to watch that bitch basically up on that podium trying to give her heart and soul and convince you idiots out there, the stupid idiots that she's called you, that she's got the answers to everybody's problems, that she's got the solutions to what's been going on the last 4 years. People, believe me when I say this, okay? Has your life been any better from the time President Biden got in to now, or has it gotten worse? If you think it's gotten better, well, I'll tell you, I don't know what planet you're coming from, but I'll tell you what, you got some issues. And mark my words on it, friends. If I have to lose friendships, if I have to lose things of that sort because of the way I think and the way I judge it and the way I see it, fair enough. Because then I know who my friends truly are and who was just playing me for a damn fool when it came to that stuff. I'm not telling you how to vote, but you got to look at the issues. The economy is the biggest issue for the United States right now. Immigration is about a second. And, you know, abortion could be like a fourth or a fifth. None of the topics were even brought up until almost the end of the debate. So really what we have here is ABC News and Kamala Harris attacking the former president on what he stands for, which he was giving you in all of those rallies, giving you in all those news conferences and press conferences about what his plans are. And really what you saw was a narcissistic son of a bitch going in there and thinking who the frig she was. That's what it is, friends. And you know what? The times that Trump stuck it right back in her thick skull, it said, look, you haven't done nothing in 3.5 years. And that's the bottom line. She hasn't done anything because she takes orders from her boss, who is still, by the way, the president of the United States until January 21 of next year. Okay? So she really cannot give any kind of futuristic plan until she gets into the White House, if God forbid that happens. But if you want to see the worst of the worst, folks, you thought Biden was bad. Here's somebody who's even worse than Biden and even worse than, you know, any of them. Tim Walz, God forbid. Yeah, I called him the bacon boy because basically he let his town smoke to a crisp. Yeah. How would you like it if that governor came into your town and burned it down to the ground for no reason, no help from anybody? It just riots and violence. And then maybe 5 days later, you were finally given some relief after Rome burned. So in other words, while Nero was fiddling, Rome burned. That's right. So there you have it, folks. There wasn't no debate. Nothing on the needle moved any more towards Harris getting anything but a slap in the face from President Trump. That's right. He basically put her in her place. And even though she was smooth on it and everything else, you got to remember something. It's a 3-1 advantage for the liberals and the Democrats. Okay? There was no questions there that were fair and balanced. You know it, I know it. And if you want to continue to deny and say, Jason, you're delusional, I want you to come on this program and tell me about it. For the troll idiots in Michigan, and there's 2 of them out there, and I know who you are. If you keep saying how you want to vote for Trump, you're not going to vote for Trump. You're going to vote for Harris and Walz because Michigan is a blue state. It always has been. And even though United Auto Workers are whining and complaining that EVs are coming to take over their jobs, geez whiz Christ, guys. If you had your opportunity, you'd stick with Trump because Trump is going to give you the manufacturing jobs back to the states. Bring it back from the other countries and give it to you guys so you don't lose your jobs. But I guess you don't care what happens in the near future, 10 to 20 years from now, even though you've endorsed Trump, but yet at the same time, you've endorsed Harris. So confusing. That's what it is, folks. It's confusion. You know, the corporate bums of America need to realize something. Donald Trump gave you everything you asked for, and you're still greedy. You're still complaining out there about how things are so bad. It's not going my way. Life is not fair. Dude, life is not fair no matter who runs the damn country. It doesn't matter. Okay? You have to take responsibility for yourself. And if you're too lazy and too goddamn stubborn to do that, then you know what? Go to another country and find out how bad it is. And then you'll be back. Because if you keep saying to yourself, I'm not worthy of it, stop feeling sorry for yourself. You have nobody to blame but yourself if you think that everything because of what's going on is somebody else's fault. Okay? It's your fault. It's my fault. It's the guy next door's fault. Whoever it is. We all have a fault here. Okay? And I'm not picking favors. I'm not, I'm telling you like it is. And this nightly news program, I told you when we were coming back that it's going to hit hard on the topics. Folks, we're coming to a very important election here in the next 2 months. If we don't get our act together, we might as well just give it up because the Chinese are going to have our asses. You might as well start eating lo mein and General Tso's chicken for the rest of your life because you're not going to have that which you long for, which is a steak and French fries. No, you're going to be eating egg rolls and fried rice till the cows come home. And by the way, there won't even be cows to have because it's all going to be chickens and goats. So you want your meat, you want your goodies, you want your vegetables, you start respecting the farmers out there, you give them what they need so they can plant the great crops, and then we go organic. Yes. Start buying organic right now, folks. It's a lot cheaper, if not even more cheaper. Because as the prices of organics stay the same, the regular food items, they go up. And they do more damage. And I've said this how many times. Try an organic apple. Try an organic banana. Drink organic milk. See what it does. If you feel an improvement in your body, you know it's working for you. Now, not everybody's going to take to organics right away because they feel it's too expensive. Be smart-wise when you shop out there. Buy 1, buy 2, try it. See what happens. Might make you feel better. You might have better digestion problems. I'm not saying better. I'm saying you might actually get rid of your digestion problems. If you have acid reflux, drinking organic milk actually helps. I don't have lactose intolerance anymore. And I don't have acid reflux because I'm drinking organic milk and have been now for the past 7-8 months. And it's helped me lose weight. Another thing that people don't realize is that drinking organic milk will help you lose weight. Yeah. Now, I may not be a doctor and I don't have the scientific studies to show you, but I do know what my body believes is best for me. Now, everybody's different out there. You got to do your homework and you got to experiment. But here we go, folks. Here we are on the most patriotic day of it all. And why am I telling you this? Because you got to hear it from somebody. The news organizations aren't going to tell you. They're going to fake you out. Draw your own conclusions. And if you think I'm wrong, fine. If you want to lose me as a friend, I don't care. I don't care. This is a business, as they say out there. This is a show. This is a show that basically tells you what it is, shows you the credible articles and everything else. And to my little scumbag out there who keeps wanting to make fake channels, it ain't gonna happen. We'll be back with more on this Patriot Day 2024 right after this.
Hey, Tom, what's with the beekeeper suit?
Well, Panda Express has this new honey sesame chicken breast. It's sweet, crispy, and delicious.
That sounds good.
Yeah, but since we can't go to Panda, I figured we'd make our own.
You sure about this?
Trust me, I'm practically the king bee.
Long live the king.
Introducing new honey sesame chicken breast. Thin, crispy strips of all-white meat chicken with fresh string beans and yellow bell peppers. Wok tossed in our new honey sesame sauce. Only at Panda Express.
It's coming!
The thick, rich taste you love. But sometimes, some days, you're in the mood for something a little bit tangy, a little bit kicky, a little bit spicy. Yeah, Heinz 57 sauce. It's like ketchup with a kick.
Excuse me! Is it asking too much to put up a wet paint sign? I'm supposed to be storming a village in Gaul tomorrow and I've got absolutely nothing to wear! No, it's no good. I'm too upset. I'm going home.
Sorry. You're sorry. 9X. More information, more solutions, more stuff.
If you've got flaky, shaky tires that are ready to blow, there is only one place you should go. When you want low prices that'll beat all the rest, only Tire Kingdom meets the test. Come to Tire Kingdom, yeah, the Tire Kingdom, 'cause only Tire Kingdom gives you more. Guaranteed lowest prices, fastest service, best selection. Tire Kingdom is your only tire store.
Hey, you're a guy, and guys want to be cool. Hang out with other guys who are cool. But even cool guys sweat. 40% more than women, in fact. So how you gonna stay cool? With something new. Speed Stick Gel. No other gel keeps you drier, so you always feel your coolest. It's unbeatable gel protection, and guys, no matter how cool they are, need all the protection they can get. New Speed Stick Gel. It's just for the guys.
Amen.
Life is
These tires are all the same. Goodyear. But they're all different. Different tires for different drivers. They've got them all, and they're all very good.
Instead of a tune-up, all I needed was a little fuel filter. It saved me money.
I just got white letter Eagle ratings. Hey, looking good never hurts.
You gotta be good to be Goodyear.
Goodyear tires and auto service for more Goodyears in your car.
We're Goodyear!
A smart mechanic and a computer add up to good car service every time.
When it comes to the tires I drive on, I'm not about to pinch pennies. I want the best I can get. Goodyear.
Hey!
They don't waste my time. They don't waste my money. That's just plain good business.
You gotta be good to be Goodyear.
Goodyear tires and auto service for more Goodyears in your car.
We're Goodyear!
Well, there's 12 questions people still have about 9/11, and many Americans believe we'll never know everything there is to know about the Patriot Day. Here are some of the questions that still remain even after 18 years later. And this article was by Lauren Kahn, which was updated yesterday. So, how did the towers collapse so quickly? Well, engineers designed the Twin Towers to withstand the impact of a commercial jet airplane, yet both towers collapsed within 2 hours of being hit. Could the towers have been rigged with explosives, demolition style, prior to the planes hitting? Well, Snoops discredited this as not scientifically sound. and the world may never know how these optimally engineered towers collapsed so quickly. All of these conspiracy theories actually turned out to be true. Number 2, did the aircraft materials contribute? Well, the primary material used in constructing airplanes is aluminum. And according to the Smithsonian Channel, 2 scientists have independently pointed out that at extremely high temperatures, over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, aluminum melts and becomes a powerful explosive when it comes into contact with water. They theorized the burning towers formed a furnace of sorts, melting the aluminum, which would have been then exploded on contact with water from the building's sprinklers. Well, the consensus says that this is one explanation that could account for the tower's demolition-style collapse. Read the story of the woman that was personally blamed for the terrorist attacks on 9/11, which we will get to later on in the program. Why no mention of the aluminum in the official report? Well, the Smithsonian points out that the official investigation report doesn't even mention the presence of aircraft wreckage in the towers. Why? While it's possible investigators failed to recognize the material as aluminum in its molten state, or for some other reason, considered it not important. These are the strangest unsolved mysteries from each state. And why did the government ignore the warning the day before? Well, the day before the 9/11 attacks, the U.S. government's National Security Agency intercepted 2 communications, both from Afghanistan to Saudi Arabia. One says, "Tomorrow is 0 hour." The other says, "The match begins tomorrow." These messages were not translated until September 12th, according to CNN. Was there a reason for this? The consensus says this remains a mystery. And here are 16 more of history's strangest unsolved mysteries. Where was the NSA on September 10th of 2001? Well, assuming the NSA didn't translate these ominous messages on the day they were intercepted, there's still the question of what the agency was doing that day. The CIA had been on high alert since August 23rd that a terrorist attack by Al-Qaeda was imminent. Check out these secret U.S. government operations revealed. How early did the government know? Well, as early as July 31st of 2001, the FAA had issued a warning to airlines that terror groups are known to be planning and training for hijackings. And according to CNN, this wasn't the first such warning issued by the government. In fact, it may have been even earlier. And as far back as 1998, the FAA had been warning airlines and airports to maintain a high degree of alertness in response to ominous statements made by Osama bin Laden. These are the things that the government doesn't want you to know about Area 51. That's another story for some other time. And why didn't anyone warn us? Well, on August 6th of 2001, the CIA reported to President George W. Bush that Al-Qaeda was planning airline hijackings, according to CNN. This information was passed on to embassies and other overseas organizations, but not the American public. And was there a good reason for this? Well, there's a chance that authorities didn't take the threat seriously, and there's a chance that they believed there was little citizens could have done to alter the outcome. Most people, especially families of the victims, would have preferred that the American public had a warning. Then at least they could put some closure on this, what kind of makes sense. But again, like you say, top officials don't seem fit to tell the American people what they truly deserve to be told when crisis happens or is going to happen. And will this change the way governments handle alerts? Well, it should. Last June, the European Union enacted legislation requiring that citizens be alerted to potential terrorist attacks. The legislation has been called life-saving. Post 9/11, our country has made its own sweeping changes. U.S. agencies have been more forthcoming about potential danger. Homeland Security's color-coded system, red being the highest threat, has been replaced by the National Terrorism Advisory System, which keeps us posted with elevated and imminent alerts. In addition, all major cellular companies also have the capability of warning subscribers about threat level changes. And finally, Ground Zero was home to a new tower. Learn how One World Trade Center was built to be safer than the Twin Towers. Number 9 is why won't anyone tell the FBI what happened? Well, the greatest enduring conspiracy theory regarding the 9/11 attacks is why the CIA blocked communications that would have informed the FBI of impending terrorist attacks. It's horrible. We still don't know what happened. Newsweek quotes one of the FBI's lead counterterrorism agents as saying, "For some former national security officials, this question alone rivals even those we ponder regarding the assassination of U.S. President John F. Kennedy, and of course, the attempted assassination on President Donald Trump on July 13th of this year. The FBI again cannot and will not be able to, and still denies that anything of theirs is not their fault." Baloney. Well, could the attacks have been prevented? The CIA blocked information regarding a possible attack in both 2000 and 2001 from reaching the FBI. It is patently evident that the attacks did not need to happen, and there's been no justice. Mark Rossini, one of the two FBI agents assigned to the CIA's Osama bin Laden unit, told Newsweek many family members of 9/11 victims would agree. And this woman survived 9/11. These are the questions she gets asked the most. Another article you might want to look at as part of your Patriot Day today on this special 9/11 episode. And what was the Saudi Arabian government's involvement? In the 2018 book, The Watchdogs Didn't Bark, the CIA, NSA, and the Crimes of the War on Terror, authors Ray Nowalewski, Novoselinsky, and John Duffy theorized a conspiracy between the U.S. government and the Saudi Arabian government to cover up the true events of 9/11. Newsweek said the authors making a compelling case. As we're still asking ourselves these questions 18 years later, the world may never have closure about the tragic events of that day. There you go. And finally, could it happen again? Perhaps the most sensitive question that remains 18 years after the attacks on September 11, 2001, is whether it could happen again. Many airport security and other measures have been taken to prevent plane hijackings, so it's unlikely it could happen again. But the greater risk is that we may all start to feel too safe, according to this report by ABC News. The greatest vulnerability in the security system may be complacency, that government officials, airlines, and passengers will let their guard down. Yep. And that's pretty much what I think, too. Laura Kahn has covered knowledge, history, the British royal family, true crime, and riddles for Reader's Digest since 2017. She sharpened her research skills as a lawyer in the 90s, became an early HuffPost blogger in the 2000s, and then began reporting local news in the 2010s. She's been writing news, features, and celebrity interviews for a variety of for a variety of other magazines and stuff. So you can definitely check out Laura Kahn. Great article. And here's my take on that article. Yes, this could happen again, folks. I don't want to scare you, and I don't mean to scare you. But you need to know the truth about what's been going on, especially during this election cycle. You notice a lot of stuff just floating around. Who is telling the honest truth about what's happening? Who is really responsible for that? Well, as a journalist, and I'm not a journalist, I'm a commentator. Okay, I don't go out there and field the report. I take what I see from it and I give it to you in a more simplified version. And I'm unbiased to it. I'm biased to a fault. Okay, you know where I lean. You've known that. Okay, there's no surprises here. You know that I believe in a conservative government, one that lets the people live their lives the way they want to, but have laws, have justice, have peace and prosperity. Okay? And the threats of war out there right now that are taking place between Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Iran, and the Hamas and all of that Palestinian bullcrap that you see going on right now is not the fault of Donald Trump. It's not the fault of the Republicans. No matter how much you think the Democrats say that it's the Republicans' fault for all of this happening, no. Okay? 4 years ago, between 2016 and before the pandemic, we had the best that the government could give to us. They didn't stick a finger in our nose telling us when to eat, when to sleep, when to take a crap, and all that other stuff. You lived your life without worrying about getting mugged in the streets, getting shot, your home being broken into, or the fact that if you just looked at someone, they said hi back instead of taking a swing at you. Now, all of a sudden, because of so much division, so much hatred, so much chaos, so much of everything going on, because of what the policies that were instilled the last 4 years between 20 and 2024, this is what you get when you put the wrong people into the government, and then it becomes socialism. And then it becomes communism. Folks, we're going to talk about socialism and communism, break down each definition for you, because you know what? Maybe you learned it in high school. Maybe you had a teacher who told you that socialism and communism and Marxism and all the other isms don't work in this country, and they were right. Maybe you overlooked it when you were in high school because you were a teenager and you thought, I'll never have to apply this to anything in my life. Well, 30, 40 years later, here we are in the same situation that our very teachers who told it to us and put it instilled in our brains. Now we thank you because they passed on and gave us the knowledge to put 2 and 2 together. Okay. So again, if you don't know what these terms mean, we'll have very special information for you in the coming weeks. But tomorrow on the program, I've got Zach the artist coming on. And I know he's really eager to show off his wonderful works of art over the course of the summer. So we'll have him on the program. I don't know what time he's coming on, but whenever he decides he wants to come on, we'll bring him on for you. Till then, in the meantime, here's the thing. You have to, like I said before, you have to take responsibility for everything you do. And if it means not having but your own self to take care of, and not worrying about what everybody else is doing, and go about your business and don't commit crimes, don't do anything illegal, and just stop sticking your nose where it don't belong, because if you start doing that, you're gonna make enemies. And those who have already done that, the trolls, they know it. They're the enemy, and they've already made enemies. Okay? You say you're my friends. I don't know you. You never met me. How do you know? Because I told you. So you just copied and paste. That's all you did. So that's not a friendship. That's not even a relationship. That's not even an establishment. Okay? Worry about you. And hopefully with this program, we can continue on what we did for the last 154 episodes before we went off the air. Okay? We'll be back with a look at our next article. That's actually going to tell you some 9/11 survivor stories, the twist of fate that saved these people's lives. We'll hear it from the real people who actually encountered these situations some 23 years ago. We'll be back right after this with more Nightly News.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, at Carvel, it really doesn't matter. I'm Cookie Chick. That's right, Cookie Chick. And both the chocolate-covered egg and myself are custom-decorated Carvel ice cream cakes made fresh daily at participating Carvel ice cream stores for Easter.
Now, would you like to send one to a friend? Please call the toll-free number that you see listed here, and we honor most major credit cards. Thank you.
Watch us make your food fresh at Taco Bell, Taco Bell. Can you feel your taste buds tingle? Taco Bell, Taco Bell. Watch us make you a burrito or a tasty enchilada. Tostadas and tacos made up fresh at Taco Bell. Put a smile on your face at Taco Bell. Everybody loves the taste at Taco Bell. 'Cause we're the fresh food place, Taco Bell.
Is gasoline rationing imminent? A report at 11.
What, Mom? The Chex Party Mix is for the guests? Good grief.
Don't worry. Now it's so easy. We can make more in 10 minutes.
I can't even make toast.
Just mix up the Chex and the seasoning, shake it in a bag, and pop it in the microwave.
They're not coming? We can't eat the Chex Party Mix? All right. Chex Party Mix. It's so easy and so good.
Come to Pathmark's Sidewalk Sale. And with coupons from Sunday's paper, pick up fabulous savings like Pathmark Premium Ice Cream, 99 cents. Watercraft Mayonnaise, 99 cents. 2-liter Pathmark Soda, 2 for 69 cents. And Tyson's Frozen Cornish Hens, perfect for barbecue, only 69 cents a pound. Save at Pathmark 24 hours a day.
Pathmark #1.
If you love crispy, juicy fried chicken, and who doesn't, fry with all-natural Wesson vegetable oil, and what do you know?
You're frying right.
Wesson's 100% all-natural,
Crispy and light. You're frying right.
with no additives. You know, not every oil is all-natural, but Wesson is 100%.
So go ahead, take a bite. You know.
Wesson vegetable oil, one of 3 all-natural oils from Wesson.
You're frying right.
Drinking water is essential to your health. That's why you need to drink plenty of water to keep you hydrated throughout the day. Unlike power drinks or soft drinks, water is truly the only drink that can quench your thirst. It's an easy, refreshing way to keep your body healthy and strong. Freshen up today with a brisk, cool bottle of water.
9/11 survivor stories, the twist of fate that saved these people's lives. And these stories will leave you speechless. Jen Baba Khan has written this article as of yesterday, so it is still fresh in the minds of those who are celebrating Patriot Day today. It's a good way to get the stories from those who actually witnessed and encountered these situations in their time during the 9/11 attacks. I must put a disclaimer out. These stories could get a little bit very intense. So if you feel like you need to leave the room or you can't handle these stories, remember these are coming from the people who actually encountered this stuff. I give you that disclaimer right now. So 9/11 twist of fate. 21 years ago on September 11, 2001, nearly 3,000 people lost their lives. These 7 people could have been among the casualties had it not been for a twist of fate that kept them out of the World Trade Center's Twin Towers in Manhattan on that fateful Tuesday morning. These incredible 9/11 survivor stories are both chilling and mind-blowing. And to really get a feel for how this day changed lives forever, read these powerful lessons surviving the 9/11 terrorist attacks taught one woman. That's another article, which you can, of course, read on. So here we have her mom's persistence saved her life. For Holly Winter, September 11, 2001 was going to be the day of a blissful reunion for her and her college friends. But her own mother's intuition saved her. Winter, who lived in Denver at the time, tells Reader's Digest, "I was supposed to be at the Twin Towers on September 11th with my 2 best friends from college who lived in Chicago and New York City. Because the NYC-based friend worked nonstop, Winter and her other friend coordinated their calendars for a surprise breakfast picnic on September 11th in New York at his office in the original One World Trade Center. It was the only date that worked for both of us. Our plan was to fly into the city the night before, then show up at his office at 8 a.m. with a breakfast of champagne and caviar, his favorites." She continues, "I called my mom, who lived in upstate New York, to let her know I was coming to town, and she told me she was coming to visit me instead. I begged her to change her trip, reminding her that she was retired, so her schedule was more flexible. She refused, saying it felt like the right time to visit. Winter canceled the trip with her friends. My Chicago friend decided to make the trip without me. The surprise worked as planned, and they called me at 8 a.m., and we laughed and talked for a while. I hung up so that they can enjoy the visit without keeping me on the phone. I lost them both." A rare vacation saved her life. Brenda Christensen, Southern California resident at the time, never missed her annual media tour, a week-long string of appointments held with clients, editors, and reporters at the Twin Towers in Manhattan for her public relations business, except for the one in September of 2001. Now, every single year, I was in New York City for work in the fall. My first appointment was always in the Twin Towers to meet a Wall Street Journal reporter for breakfast at 10 a.m. sharp, Christensen recalls. However, the one year I decided to go on vacation instead was 2001. Instead of being in downtown Manhattan that year, Christensen spent the night at a hotel in New Orleans for a stayover en route to meet her sister-in-law in Jamaica. I woke up in the French Quarter to the horrific news, not knowing if any of my colleagues and staff were decimated, as they were near the towers in lower Manhattan. Luckily, they weren't. I felt I had missed a lightning bolt. Whew, wow. Talk about changing your plans at the last minute. He was running unusually late. James Stefrak, CFA, had a morning routine in 2001 that took him to the Trade Center on his way to work. My morning commute involving taking the subway from 14th Street and 7th Avenue into the Trade Center, taking those giant escalators up to the ground floor, grabbing a cup of coffee and paper at one of the newsstands, then walking outside through the big glass doors that a homeless man would hold open for commuters every morning, in the hope of a tip, recalls Stefrak. I'd then walk about a block to my office in the Trinity building. He continues, at the time, I was involved in trading stocks, which typically required me to be in the office before 9 a.m. for calls with associates. I knew that morning of September 11th, I had an unusually slow calendar. Still, even on slow days, I was usually in by 9 or 9:15. For whatever reason, I took my sweet time getting ready that morning and was running about 20 minutes behind schedule. When I turned on the TV, I saw what was happening. My apartment had a rooftop deck with views of the trade centers, so I immediately walked up the stairs and gazed southward down 6th Avenue. I stayed there and eventually watched the two buildings collapse, which is, needless to say, an image I can't forget. Had I taken the subway down at my normal time around 8:30, I may not have been so lucky. Subway cars were stopped and stuck, getting into the tower after the first plane hit. Today I am married with 4 beautiful kids in Florida. A broken heart saved her life. Crystal Brown Tatum, CEO and president of Crystal Clear Communications, says it was her decision to end a relationship that may have saved her life. In 2001, I was engaged to be married and planned to relocate to New York City in June. I had a job offer from Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, working in Twin Tower 2. Unfortunately, I discovered some things that caused me to call off the wedding and subsequent move. When 9/11 happened, I was numb because I would have been working in World Trade Tower 2 on that Tuesday. Going through a broken engagement was painful, but it was a twist of fate that possibly saved my life. He's never been so thankful for car trouble. Well, on September 10, 2001, George Keith drove his brand new BMW through Central Park when the vehicle shifted into first gear unexpectedly. He made an appointment at the dealership for 7 the following morning with the hopes of making it to an 8 a.m. meeting in downtown Manhattan. Now, Keith tells Reader's Digest that what happened next was one inconvenience he will never complain about. I go to the BMW dealership at 7, but the mechanics refused to work before 8, so I waited an hour for a 3-minute repair. I left the shop and raced down the expressway to get to my meeting on the 73rd floor of the Tower 2 of the World Trade Center, he recalls. I was sitting on the expressway in traffic when I saw smoke coming out of the top of the first tower that was hit and turned on the radio to hear that a small plane had crashed into it. At that point, I glanced behind me at the Hudson River and saw a jet flying lower than I've ever seen. I couldn't take my eyes off it, and then it smashed into the second tower. The fireball was enormous. I've never seen anything like it. I knew it was a terror attack at that point. He adds, I'm fortunate my car broke down. Many people I know didn't make it. It's still an emotional thing. A cigarette break saved her life. Greer Epstein, at the time an executive director at Morgan Stanley in the second tower, recalls, I arrived at 7:30 a.m., checked my email, met with some staff members, and had visited the cafeteria on the 43rd floor for my morning coffee and bagel. At 8:40, I received a call from a coworker who suggested we prep for a later meeting over a cigarette. I grabbed my cigarette case and headed to the elevator, recalls Epstein. She continues, the elevator car jumped and bounced as I reached the ground floor. I remember thinking, I am not taking that car again. As I exited and made note of the car number, I turned toward the revolving doors to the street. Through the plate glass windows, I saw people ducking, flaming paper raining down, and a man cowering next to a planter with a briefcase over his head. As I turned toward the revolving door, I noticed that so many people were jammed into it that it couldn't turn. I remember looking up and seeing a huge hole in the side of the first tower. I heard someone say a plane had hit the building. We watched for a while and saw people holding on to the outside of windows way up on the building. Then they were just letting go, falling all that way. And as I stood and watched, I saw a plane coming from the south and flying right toward the second tower. Epstein and her coworker witnessed the jet hurtle into the second tower, as well as the building's horrifying collapse, and ran to the safety of a nearby doorway while the cloud of dust threatened to overtake him. It felt like the world was ending, Epstein says. She was laid off in the nick of time. Laura Sorokoff-Gelman rode the Port Authority subway train through the World Trade Center station on her commute each morning. That was before she was laid off on Friday, September 7th, 2001. I would have been there if I weren't laid off for 4 days before. And as it happens, I had planned to go to the unemployment office next to the World Trade Center that morning, but was waiting till after rush hour, so I never got on the train that day. Wow. And there you have it, friends. Some very interesting but true stories that happened to these people where fate basically saved their lives. And if you got a story for the Reader's Digest of that notion, find out from Jen Babakan. She's a freelance worker who spans psychology, wellness, and human interest stories. In addition to Reader's Digest, her writing has appeared in Guide Spots and other national news outlets. Her first book, Detoured, The Messy, grace-filled journey from working professionals to stay-at-home mom, sparked her love of engaging readers through her personal stories. Thank you, Jen. And there you have it. Another great article pertaining to the 9/11, stories that you will never hear on the news. You hear it right now on Nightly News on WJAY. We'll be back with more of the 9/11 Patriot Day. And the next article was, this person was blamed for the terrorist attacks in 9/11. And here's what happened. We'll find out the story behind this article. And, of course, what holiday is today, the motivation of the day, when we come back.
How can I ever forget one of my special customers, little Michael? Every week he'd come in, and every time he'd say, his eyes shining.
Stork reason, please, Mrs. Lang.
One of those reasons I had to give him immediately. The others I put in a bag for him. Now there is Stork Chocolate Reason, a long-lasting, chewy chocolate caramel covered with rich chocolate, just right for Michael.
Stork Chocolate Reason, please, Mrs. Lang.
And Michael still eats the first one immediately. Stork Chocolate Reason, the everlasting chocolate chew.
The GE 2500. It can do almost everything but talk.
GE, we bring good things to life.
This is Polaroid's new Time Zero One Step.
Pretty. Why is it black?
So you'll know it's the Time Zero One Step. And here's the world's fastest developing color. You see it in seconds now, not minutes.
Look at that color. But why a Time Zero One Step?
It comes with a pack of Time Zero Supercolor film in this made-for-each-other pack.
Certainly are made for each other.
Just like coffee and cream.
Rolls and Royce.
Or me and you.
Try ham and cheese.
sure, it's good for you, but...
Great for dieting, but plenty of healthy vitamin C, but...
But the taste? Well, pour on the pink for a taste you never expected. Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. Zesty, tangy, sweeter.
This is grapefruit juice? It's not bitter.
Hey, pour on the pink. Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. It's not just good for you, it's good. Ocean Spray good.
My friend Al's having a big party to watch the big game. So I'm setting him up with some KFC Super Buckets. For just $9.99 each, he's getting 15-piece buckets, jumbo buckets of 36 hot wings, and variety buckets with 3 kinds of tasty chicken. I said, how are you going to carry all these? Oh, maybe that's why I'm invited.
The KFC Super Buckets, just $9.99. Get them in Lake Edna or your neck of the woods.
Wow, we have a great story for you now that continues our look at Patriot Day here on WJAY Nightly News. And this one is by Virginia Buckingham, as told to Jen Babakan. But this article goes back 2 years ago on April 1st of 2022. Still, it is an article that is connected in some ways to the 9/11 attacks. This person says she was blamed for the terrorist attacks. Kind of strange when you think about it. Why would this person be ousted as the one who started this whole thing? Well, let's see what she has to say. Well, you heard a whole host of stories about the terrorist attacks on 9/11, but you probably haven't heard this one. Well, let's see what this has here. Okay. This is, I guess, Virginia Buckingham. Nice lady. September 11th, 2001 is a day I'll never forget. Like anyone else who lived through it, it was a devastating day on which so many innocent lives were lost. And it was also the day my life was hijacked by a national narrative I couldn't control. I was the CEO of the Massachusetts Port Authority at the time, and in the aftermath, I was personally blamed for the attacks, a burden that proved to be almost too much to bear. I lost my job, my colleagues, and the respect of my nation. I decided to tell my story now because it's one of redemption against all odds. And if redemption is possible for me, then it is really is possible for anyone. On the morning of September 11th, I was a working mom with a 2-year-old son, and I was 5 weeks pregnant with my daughter. I was 36 at the time and had been appointed the CEO of the Massachusetts Port Authority, which also meant that I was the head of Logan International Airport for 2 years prior. The position was a politically appointed one, and I had already served as chief of staff to 2 Massachusetts governors. It was going well up until that day. We had been working on getting support to build a new runway, and we were making good progress. That Tuesday morning, I was actually on my way to Logan to catch a flight to D.C. I was scheduled to meet with the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. I was listening to the radio when I heard the report of a plane hitting the first tower. I thought it must have been an accident like a lot of people did, and then I listened live as they reported the second plane hitting the other tower. Then I knew it was terrorism. A staff member called me and said the 6 words that haunt me to this day. 2 planes are off the radar. Those 2 planes had been hijacked and were the ones that had hit the towers, and they were from Logan. Wanted to weep as I heard the reports coming out of New York, but I knew I couldn't freeze in the face of the horror that was happening. I could not scream. I could not cry. I had to do my job, and I had to lead Logan through this. No one knew at the time how the hijackers could have gotten through security. We know now that they carried small knives or box cutters through that went undiscovered. Editor's note, blades 4 inches or less were permitted on flights at the time, so the ones the hijackers used would not have been confiscated. This sparked a lot of anger, most of it directed at me. Suddenly, I found myself in the middle of a media firestorm. Story after story and columnist after columnist said I had no business running Logan. Some even went so far as to say that Logan was targeted because of me. Other airports had been compromised too, but mine was the one whose planes took the towers down. It just got worse from there. The governor at the time, Jane Swift, forced me to resign 6 weeks later, It was either that or she was going to fire me. Then the family of one of the victims sued me for wrongful death. That was absolutely shattering for me to think that a widow and the mother of 2 children held me personally responsible for the death of her husband. Nights were filled with horrifying dreams that I tossed and turned my way through. Peaceful sleep was a thing of the past. I feared that my name would forever be linked to that disastrous day instead of what it used to be. A good, hardworking person, someone who would never dream of hurting someone else. And I kept wondering, could I have prevented this? Were the deaths of all those people my fault? And while those around me urged me to move on, to put it behind me, I wondered how moving on from something so horrific as 9/11 was even possible. I didn't know if I would ever find an answer to the question that haunted me endlessly. Was I to blame for this? The idea that I could end the pain was a powerful one. So much so that one evening, I entertained the idea of suicide. But instead, I listened to the voice within that told me to hang on. It was incredibly difficult to do. Ultimately, the wrongful death case was dropped, but the suit against Logan lasted 10 years. It was a long time, and it felt every bit of it. When the 9/11 Commission report was compiled, I testified before the Commission investigators, a panel authorized by Congress. I said, if you find that Logan security was no different than any other airport that day, please say that. Say it for all of us feeling this burden. It was their first footnote on the report that Logan International Airport security had been no different than any other airport that day. Still, it wasn't enough to help me move forward. I wanted some form of external exoneration, like for the president or someone else to say something about it. I wanted to know that others finally saw that I wasn't to blame and that there was nothing I could have done to stop those planes from hitting the towers. The only thing that saved me was listening to myself. I had to listen to the belief I held within that I could not have done anything else. The security at Logan on 9/11 was exactly the same as it was at every other airport in America that day. None of us could have foreseen that planes themselves would have ever been used as weapons. This entire experience has shown me that when terrible things happen, it's scary. We want to blame someone for it. It makes us feel safer somehow. But that's really no different than blaming a crime victim by saying she wore the wrong thing and that it wouldn't have happened if she didn't. I have also realized that it's so hard, especially as a woman, to be your own hero. We tend to want someone else to come in and be the hero for us, but we can be the hero we need and save ourselves. We have it within us. I had my daughter that spring after I resigned, and about a year later, I began looking for work again. I've always defined myself by my work, but I needed to find a new career path. I have always loved writing. Getting paid to choose the correct words is such a joy, and I couldn't believe it when I got a job writing for the Boston Herald. Unfortunately, that became controversial because of my political past. Several writers there signed a petition for my termination, but I ended up working there for 4 years until I made the move to the private sector, working in public affairs. Over that period of time, I just felt a sense of failure. I was failing to heal emotionally and mentally. I realized that our cultural definition of resilience isn't a good fit for everyone. And there's this idea that you can bounce back better than ever, like the trauma never happened. But that isn't true for all of us. It certainly isn't true for me. I wrote the book On My Watch, which will be released on April 14th of 2020. So I'm going to definitely check that book out to give meaning to it all. If one person finds that it helps them through a difficult time, then writing it was worth it. In terms of getting through trauma and ultimately healing, I often think of sea glass. Begins with a bottle broken by waves, but eventually turns into something beautiful. I felt very broken for a long time, but I am still able to bring beauty to this life I live. I want people to know that in order to really get through something, you have to accept that you are forever changed. But you also need to know that you can carry joy right next to your pain and still have a wonderful life. Great story there. Fantastic. I think that sums it up really well. Virginia Buckingham. Get that book, read it, and find out her story even more. If you're down to that point in your life for suicide, that's not the answer to what goes on with problems. Suicide is not the answer. There are ways around it. And if you need somebody to talk to, that's when a good friend will come to your aid. It's 8:10 right now. We've got about 20 minutes left to this show on this patriotic day of September 11th. When we come back, we'll look at other holidays that have fallen on this day, plus the motivation of the day, and we'll be back with more nightly news right after this.
Is this the reaction you get when you serve your kids vegetables? So how do you get them to eat their vegetables? Just add Cheese Whiz. Cheese Whiz. It's got the unique, cheesy taste kids love, no matter what it's on. Cheese Whiz tastes great on anything and everything. Cheese Whiz. It makes food taste better to kids.
And now there's a new way for kids to enjoy the great taste of Cheese Whiz. New Cheese Whiz squeezable cheese sauce.
I've always been a pizza snob. Frozen pizza? Never. And then I discovered Stouffer's. It's terrific. You know why? They don't use pizza crust. Stouffer's uses good French bread because French bread really stays crisp and delicious, even frozen. And then Stouffer's heaps on the best pizza makings. I'm still a pizza snob. The only frozen pizza I'll eat is Stouffer's.
There really is a good frozen pizza. Stouffer's.
If I'm feeling mellow, I just want cheese and tomatoes. If I'm feeling attractive, I say put on some pepperoni, you know? If I'm feeling wild and crazy, I just tell the guy behind the counter, throw it all on. My.
Hello, I'm here to tell you a little bit about pizza etiquette. Can you do this? Yes. It's acceptable. It's good cold in the morning for breakfast. I've done that. I think how many have done that? Can you take it and go from the other end, crust first? No. I'm sorry. You have to start at the point.
Say, that's a well-balanced breakfast. Want to make it taste extra delicious?
Yeah!
Well, everything tastes yummy with Golden Blossom honey. Everything tastes yummy with Golden Blossom honey.
Yeah!
Cereal, toast, and pancakes, honey makes them yummy. Muffins, waffles, pastry too. Breakfast goes with honey. Everything tastes yummy with Golden Blossom honey.
Gee, you really know your honey.
Love that Golden Blossom.
McDonald's new McDLT. It could be the best tasting lettuce and tomato hamburger ever. You get a hot side hot. You get a cool side cool. New McDLT. And the hot stays and the cool stays. New McDLT.
It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
New McDLT. Come on in and try McDonald's new McDLT for the everyday low price of just $1.49. We think you'll agree McDLT could be the best hamburger value ever.
Well, enjoy your new soda.
Thanks.
Hello, Joan. A Serta. Does this mean you won't count us anymore?
One, come up here. Come on. Feel that comfort.
Never.
I'd like to try.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, guys. Hey, well, hold it. Hey, stop it. No, this is unprofessional.
I forgot to get ye.
Happy now, mattress man?
Serta, we make the world's best mattress.
Well, today is, of course, a holiday, of course, a Patriot Day, but today is also National Hot Cross Bun Day. Well, we figured we'll give you a little bit of motivation here in our last half hour of the program and talk about National Hot Cross Bun Day. Falls every September 11th, and what a way, I think, to kind of really, have a symbol of the cross as a religious way of saying we remember those who have fallen victim to it. I think National Hot Cross Bun Day was even before Patriot Day because I think it's been around pretty long and for many decades. So let's take a look at this national holiday of Hot Cross Bun Day. Well, though there's a day dedicated to this tasty treat, these buns are delicious any day of the year. A hot cross bun is made from yeast dough and is usually a bit sweet. Some may even contain spices such as cinnamon, along with raisins, currants, and other dry fruits. Most of us prefer having a hot cross bun for breakfast, accompanied with a cup of coffee or a glass of warm milk, and always with a generous dose of butter. They make for a scrumptious and filling breakfast food. Many stories claim the origins of the hot cross bun. One believes that the 13th century Anglican monk baked these buns to share with others and marked them with a cross in honor of Good Friday. The buns back then might have had a bland taste, but they were meant to be shared as a show of friendship and love. By the 16th century, these buns had been introduced to Elizabethan England. The Queen decided to keep the buns sacred, and a law was passed to limit the sale of the buns to Christmas, funerals, and the Friday before Easter. The law was too difficult to enforce and was eventually scrapped off. People rejoiced and started baking hot cross buns throughout the year. Some superstitious people believed that these buns had medicinal or healing powers, while others believed that the buns baked on Good Friday would never go stale. Others were of the opinion that hot cross buns could ward off evil spirits. And a few others claimed that the buns protected sailors from shipwrecks while on sea voyages. Although hot cross might have existed before Christianity, these buns have been historically only eaten on Good Friday as a Christian symbol of the crucifixion. However, in many places, hot cross buns are now widely sold and eaten practically every day of the year. The superstitions also seem to be fading since these buns are no longer used for any other purpose other than having a fill when you are hungry. Here's the timeline. Starts 6th century AD by the Greeks, goes to the 1600s on the restrictions of sales from James I of England, 1733, first definitive records, and 2012, not cross buns. So the hot cross becomes the not cross. Yep. So how to celebrate this day? Well, eat a bun. You must treat yourself to a hot cross bun on National Hot Cross Bun Day. Get freshly baked buns for breakfast and enjoy them with your favorite hot beverage. Or try your hand at baking hot cross buns on National Hot Cross Bun Day. Follow an online recipe or your family recipe to make your very own buns. And add new flavors or spices when you bake your own batch of hot cross buns. You may add nuts, chocolate chips, or lemon zest to add a twist to the original recipe. Here's 5 facts about bread that will blow your mind. British women eat around 76 grams of bread every day, while men consume approximately 113 grams a day. There are up to 200 varieties of bread, and bread goes stale 6 times faster in the fridge than at room temperature. People used soft breadcrumbs to erase pencil marks. And the first meal consumed on the moon was bread and wine. Wow. And why we love the hot cross bun day? Well, since their origin, hot cross buns have had a long, interesting history. This is a good day to look back at how these buns have made their way to us. And everyone loves a good hot cross bun. A favorite breakfast treat? National Hot Cross Bun Day is the perfect way to celebrate this doughy deliciousness. And a National Hot Cross Bun Day invites us to bake and experiment with hot cross bun variations. Put your inner chef to work and see what interesting recipes you can come up with. Next time, it'll be on a Thursday next year. All right. So that is a look at the holiday of today. And let's now go to the Daily Motivator and present that for you right now. Whoops. Okay. I'm going to press that out, put this in, put up the Daily Motivator, bring that up, and conclude. Yeah. Okay. Ralph Marston, of course, has our motivation of the day, and it's a good one for September 11, 2024, called Wondrous Reality. Nothing can fully substitute for firsthand experience. Nothing can equal the value of face-to-face interaction. It can be less time-consuming and more convenient to engage in life's activities from a distance, but don't fool yourself into thinking you're getting the full experience by doing so. An ultra-high resolution video of the ocean projected on a massive screen can be stunning, yet you will not feel the wet sand under your feet or the salty breeze against your face. Virtual and vicarious encounters have their place. Even so, they are no match for the richness and depth of reality. You deserve the real things in your experiences, in your relationships, with your senses. The profound truths of your existence, embodied with all of existence, within all of existence, are composed of more than mere information. Know yourself and your world, not just as concepts, but as solid and interconnected manifestations of wondrous reality. Get real, be real, live real, and experience the fullness of your miraculous being. Beautiful way to go there, Mr. Ralph Marston. Fantastic. Love his work, love his sayings. The Daily Motivator, read daily here on Nightly News every night toward the end of our program. And we are at the end of our program, even with 9 minutes to go. We're going to let you go early tonight so you can have time with your family. And remember, in about a half an hour, we go on with Wipe Those Tears, where the Tier Masters and myself will be resuming the NES games and picking up where we left off with episode 30. Check out a couple of things when you're watching Wipe Those Tears tonight. First of all, new opening for season 2, new logo. We've got our original Tier Masters and a big surprise, plus more game playing and a way now to even interact, where you will interact with us and how we determine the half-hour questions. Wait till you see it. It's going to be a fun show, and we hope that you will tune in to see season 2. From all of us here at Jay's All TV and Sports Channel, I'm Jason DeCanio. Remember, of course, my motto: be honest, be real, and keep it simple, stupid kids. Have a good night. We will see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Till then, peace out.